All right, so are you ready to dive into some Helmsman interview prep today?
Let's do it.
Sweet. We've got some great insights from RoleCatcher to help get you ready for a Helmsman interview. So you're going for a job steering one of those big inland vessels. That's awesome. It's a really demanding job with responsibility for everything,
Yeah.
from the deck and the engine to mooring. And of course, safety.
Right.
So let's get you prepped to nail that interview
Definitely.
using some of these great insights from RoleCatcher.
And it's interesting. The average helmsman actually has a higher education level than you might expect. It's a competitive field, so you really have to demonstrate that you have the knowledge and skills.
Okay, so first question. Can you explain your experience with navigation equipment? That sounds pretty straightforward. But I bet there's more to it than just listing off all the equipment names.
Yeah, absolutely. What the interviewer really wants to know is your practical understanding. So instead of just saying, oh yeah, I'm familiar with radar, talk about a specific time that you had to rely on radar, like during a tricky docking maneuver in low visibility. You really want to show them that you know how to use the tools in real world situations.
That makes sense. It's all about painting a picture with your experience. And this is where I see RoleCatcher's AI coming in handy. It can actually analyze the job description and your CV to suggest the most relevant experiences to highlight for each specific question.
Exactly. It helps you tailor your answers to precisely what the employer's looking for. Now, a likely follow-up question could be, what type of radar system are you most familiar with?
Yeah.
Or how would you troubleshoot a malfunctioning GPS unit? So be ready to go a little bit deeper.
All right, good to know. Next question. How do you handle unexpected weather conditions while navigating? Sounds like they want to see how you think on your feet.
Yeah.
And how you stay calm under pressure.
Yeah. Exactly. You should think about a time you had to adjust course because of a sudden squall, or maybe you encountered some thick fog. How did you ensure the safety of the vessel and the crew? The key is to show them your decision-making skills and that you can stay composed in challenging situations.
I've heard RoleCatcher's video practice feature can be really helpful for this. You can actually record yourself answering these tough questions and get AI-powered feedback on your delivery and confidence. It's like having a personal interview coach.
It's a fantastic tool to help you fine-tune your responses. Okay, moving on. How do you ensure safety while navigating busy waterways? Busy waterways are like highways. You need to be constantly vigilant.
So how do you describe that process?
Okay, so focus on these key elements. How do you use radar and communication systems to maintain awareness? What are the established protocols that you follow to prevent collisions? And how do you communicate effectively with other vessels? Remember, safety is paramount in this role.
And RoleCatcher can help tailor your answer to the specific job. Like if the posting mentions a particular waterway or vessel type, you can use the AI to make your response super relevant. So for example, if the job involves the Mississippi River, you could highlight your experience with its unique currents and traffic patterns.
That's a great point. You should always show that you've done your research and that you understand the specific challenges of the job. That always makes a good impression. All right, so the next question dives into your decision-making process. Can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision while navigating the vessel?
Oh, this is getting intense.
Yeah.
They really want to see how you handle pressure and make tough calls when things get rough. What kind of examples should someone share?
Okay, think of a time when you had to deviate from the planned course. Maybe it was due to a mechanical issue or an unexpected obstacle. Explain your thought process, what factors you considered, and what the outcome was. Did you consult with the crew? Did you have to make a judgment call based on limited information? These are the kinds of things they're looking for.
It's all about showcasing your leadership skills and your sound judgment. And remember, you can use RoleCatcher to practice different scenarios and refine your responses until you feel really confident.
Exactly. Preparation is key. All right, question 5 focuses on a fundamental skill. Can you explain your experience with chart reading and navigation planning? This is where you show them you're not just steering, you're strategizing.
So it's more than just being able to read a chart.
Absolutely. It's about planning, anticipation, and taking everything into account. Tides, currents, weather forecasts, potential hazards, the works. You want to show them that you can create a solid navigation plan and then adapt it as needed.
A potential follow-up could be, how do you incorporate electronic navigational aids into your planning? It's all about demonstrating that deep understanding of the tools and techniques.
Excellent point. Now let's move on to teamwork. Can you describe your experience working with a team while navigating the vessel? This one highlights a really crucial aspect of being a helmsman.
You're not working in isolation, right? You're part of a crew, and communication is key.
Precisely. You should share a specific example where clear communication and teamwork were essential for a successful maneuver. Maybe it was a challenging docking procedure in tight quarters, or navigating through a narrow channel with strong currents.
And this ties back to those core abilities RoleCatcher highlights in its Helmsman Career Guide. Things like operations monitoring and control. It's not just about monitoring systems, it's about coordinating effectively with the team.
Excellent connection. Speaking of the career guide, did you know it breaks down the different stages of a helmsman's career? It outlines the typical responsibilities and skills required at each level, from entry level all the way to senior positions. This can be really helpful in understanding where you fit in and where you can go.
So it helps you see the bigger picture of your career path and tailor your answers accordingly. That's great.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears to emergency response. The next question is, can you explain your experience with emergency response procedures while navigating the vessel? This is where things get really serious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They want to know that you can stay calm, act decisively, and follow procedures in a crisis. What kind of experience should someone highlight here?
Okay, think about any emergency drills you've participated in, like a man overboard drill or a fire alarm, or if you've had to respond to like an actual emergency, even better. Describe the situation, your actions, and how you followed established protocols.
Don't forget, RoleCatcher lets you tailor your answers to specific types of vessels. So if the job is on a passenger ship, for example, you can adjust your response to emphasize procedures relevant to passenger safety.
That's a great point. All right, question 8. How do you ensure compliance with regulations and laws while navigating the vessel? This is about demonstrating your professionalism and your attention to detail.
It's a must-have for any helmsman. You really need to know the rules of the waterways inside and out, and prove you take them seriously.
Right. How do you stay up to date on the latest regulations? Do you attend training sessions? Do you subscribe to industry publications? Mention specific examples of regulations that you've adhered to highlight your commitment to safe and lawful navigation.
This is where having those certifications, like the Inland Waters Helmsman Certificate, come in handy. It shows you're dedicated to professional development and staying current with industry standards.
Absolutely. And, even if you don't have all the required certifications yet, mentioning your plans to pursue them demonstrates your commitment to growth.
Okay, so it's not just about what you know. It's about showing them you're always learning and striving to improve.
Exactly. All right, so question 9. Can you describe your experience working with other departments on the vessel, such as engineering or decks?
Again, it seems like this is highlighting the importance of teamwork and communication. But on a broader scale,
You got it. Think of a time when you had to coordinate with another department, maybe to troubleshoot a technical issue, or to prepare for a tricky maneuver, or maybe even to handle a cargo operation. Emphasize your communication skills and your ability to work effectively across different teams.
RoleCatcher's Career Guide actually goes into detail about the different levels of collaboration required. At each stage of a helmsman's career, it shows how those responsibilities evolve as you gain experience.
It's a valuable resource for understanding the bigger picture of your career progression. Now let's tackle the last question. Can you explain your experience with different types of vessels, such as cargo or passenger ships?
This is where you get to show off your versatility and breadth of knowledge. What are some key things to highlight here?
Think about the different vessel sizes you've navigated, propulsion systems you've operated, and the types of cargo you've handled. Share examples of how you adjusted your techniques based on the specific characteristics of each vessel.
And remember, you can use RoleCatcher to tailor your answers to the specific job. If the position is on a cargo ship, highlight your experience with cargo handling procedures. If it's on a passenger vessel, focus on passenger safety protocols.
Exactly. Make sure your experience is relevant to the job you're applying for. A potential follow-up question could be, what are the key differences in handling a cargo ship versus a passenger vessel? So be prepared to discuss those specific challenges and considerations for each type.
Wow. We covered 10 crucial questions. That was a lot of information.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have a much better understanding of what to expect in a helmsman interview now.
And remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. RoleCatcher's Career Guide and AI-powered tools can provide you with even more in-depth insights and personalized feedback. It's an invaluable resource for anyone serious about pursuing a career as a helmsman.
All right, so we talked about the questions and how to approach them. But before we move on to the next part of our deep dive, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about the different stages of a helmsman's career. I think it would be really helpful for our listeners to understand what that career path actually looks like.
Absolutely. Let's dive into that now. So a helmsman's career path, it isn't just about steering bigger boats. It's about taking on more responsibility, developing those leadership skills, and gaining a deeper understanding of the whole industry.
So where does it all begin? Like, what does an entry-level helmsman typically do?
Well, as a junior helmsman, you're really focused on mastering the basics. You'll be assisting with deck operations, handling lines, helping with maintenance, and observing the more experienced helmsmen. It's a time to just absorb knowledge, follow instructions carefully, and demonstrate you're eager to learn.
So showing initiative and a willingness to pitch in are key at this stage.
Absolutely. And then as you gain experience, you'll start taking on more and more responsibility. You might start steering the vessel under supervision, handling more complex maneuvers, and becoming more involved in navigation planning.
And what about certifications? At what point do those become important?
Certifications are essential for career progression. The Inland Waters Helmsman Certificate is a common requirement for a lot of positions, and you might need additional certifications depending on the type of vessel and waterway you're working on.
So it's something to strive for early on in your career.
Definitely. It shows employers that you're serious about your profession and committed to meeting industry standards. Now, as you progress to a more senior level, like, say, a senior helmsman, your role shifts from doing to leading.
That makes sense.
Oh.
What does that leadership look like in practice?
Well, you'll be overseeing deck operations, managing a team of junior helmsmen, making sure safety protocols are being followed, and making critical decisions in those challenging situations. You'll also be more involved in training and mentoring newer crew members.
So those leadership skills we talked about earlier, like communication, decision-making under pressure, problem-solving, they become even more crucial at this level.
Exactly. And as you continue to advance, you might take on specialized roles like pilot or captain, or even move into management positions within a maritime company. The possibilities are vast.
Oh, wow. So there's real potential for growth and specialization within this field. It's not just about steering a boat, it's about building a career.
Precisely. And that's where RoleCatcher's Career Guide can be incredibly helpful. It breaks down these different career stages, outlines typical responsibilities, and highlights the essential certifications. It's like a roadmap for your helmsman journey.
So as you're preparing for your interview, it's a good idea to think about where you fit in on that roadmap and tailor your answers accordingly.
Exactly. For example, if you're interviewing for an entry-level position, you're going to want to emphasize your eagerness to learn and your ability to follow instructions. But if you're going for a more senior role, you should showcase your leadership experience, your decision-making skills, and your ability to manage complex operations.
So understanding the bigger picture of your career path is just as important as knowing how to answer those specific interview questions.
Absolutely. Now let's shift back to those interview questions. We still have a few more to cover, and I want to make sure you feel fully prepared to handle anything they throw your way.
Okay, sounds good. What's next on the list?
All right, so let's get back to those interview questions. This next one is all about experience. Can you describe your experience with different types of propulsion systems?
Okay, so this is getting into like the technical nitty-gritty of a helmsman's job. What kind of details should someone highlight here?
Well, you should think about all the different engines you've worked with. Diesel, gasoline, electric, maybe even steam if you've got some vintage vessel experience.
Wow.
Yeah. You want to explain the nuances of operating each system, the challenges you've encountered, and how you've adapted your techniques.
So it's about showing that you understand the mechanical heart of the vessel and how to handle its quirks.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get a little technical here. Interviewers want to see that you know your stuff. Now, here's a related question that often comes up. Have you ever had to deal with an engine failure while underway? What did you do?
Oh, that's a high-pressure situation. What's the best way to approach that kind of question?
Well, it's all about staying calm, assessing the situation, and following those established procedures. You need to describe the steps you took to diagnose the problem, communicate with the engine room, and ensure the safety of the vessel and crew. If you have like a specific example, share it. Even if the outcome wasn't ideal, it shows that you can handle a crisis effectively.
And I imagine RoleCatcher's AI can help here by suggesting relevant experiences from your past, even if they weren't directly related to engine failures, like maybe you had a similar situation with a different system malfunction.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher can help connect the dots. and highlight those transferable skills. Okay, now this next question focuses on a different type of challenge. Can you describe a time when you had to navigate in restricted visibility, such as fog or heavy rain?
So this is about showing your ability to rely on your instruments and make sound judgments when you can't see clearly.
Precisely. The interviewer wants to see that you're comfortable using radar, GPS depth sounders, and other aids to maintain a safe course. Think of a time when you had to navigate through challenging conditions like that. And describe your process. How did you maintain situational awareness? What precautions did you take?
It's all about showing that you can handle the pressure of the unknown and make those informed decisions based on limited information.
Exactly. And don't forget to highlight the importance of communication in those situations.
Yeah.
Keeping the crew informed and coordinating effectively. That's crucial.
Okay, so we've covered technical skills, emergency procedures, and navigation challenges. What else might they throw our way?
Well, they might ask about your experience with specific types of cargo, especially if the job involves a cargo vessel. They might want to know about your knowledge of cargo handling procedures, loading and unloading operations, or even the regulations surrounding hazardous materials.
So even though the focus is on navigation, a good helmsman needs to understand the broader context of the vessel's operations.
Absolutely. A ship is a complex system, and everyone needs to work together effectively. And that brings us to our final question for today. Can you tell us about a time you had to work collaboratively with other crew members to overcome a challenge during a voyage?
This seems like a great opportunity to showcase those teamwork and communication skills we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Think about a time when you had to coordinate with the engine room, the deck crew, or even the captain to solve a problem, make a critical decision, or execute a complex maneuver.
It could be anything from dealing with a mechanical issue to handling a sudden change in weather conditions.
Precisely. The key is to show that you can work effectively as part of a team, communicate clearly, and contribute to a successful outcome. And remember, you can always use RoleCatcher to tailor your answer to that specific job. If the position involves a lot of interaction with the engine room, you want to highlight your experience in that area.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of helmsman interviews. We covered so much ground, from the basics of navigation equipment to handling emergencies and working effectively as a team. I feel like I've gained a whole new level of understanding and appreciation for this profession.
Me too. And I hope our listeners feel more confident and prepared. To navigate those tricky interview questions, remember preparation is key. Take the time to really review that job description, research the company, and practice your answers. And of course, don't forget to check out RoleCatcher's incredible AI-powered tools. They can be a real game changer in your job search journey.
Absolutely. To all our listeners out there, good luck with your helmsman interviews. Remember to stay calm, be yourself, and let your experience and passion shine through. And most importantly, smooth sailing